This edition of MacVoices is supported by you, our viewers and listeners, through our new Patreon campaign. If you get value from MacVoices, please consider helping support the show by visiting patreon.com/MacVoices. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is a MacVoices briefing on being struck by lightning. That got your attention, didn't it? Yeah, it seems like in the last few months I've had a number of things happen that maybe you can learn from. I've learned a few things, but it just seems like a run of bad luck. Hopefully it's over, that this is the last one I'll get to tell you about, but you never know. A couple months ago, you may have noticed a blip in the MacVoices publication schedule. That's because I came home from a trip and found that my house had taken what amounted to a very close hit by lightning. I couldn't find any outside damage, but in checking with the neighbors, they were able to identify a strike that had been particularly loud and fast on the previous Friday night, and were certain that was the culprit, since they had had some lawn lights blown out, but no other damage. I wasn't that lucky. After taking a full inventory and doing some testing, I found that I lost 3 TVs, a couple Apple TVs, a TiVo, a network switch, and 3 circuit breakers that had to be replaced. Every single cable box in the house was destroyed, and the cable modem was also fried. Now, that might sound terrible, but it could have been so much worse. The good news is that all the computer equipment was protected by some heavy-duty surge protectors and uninterruptible power supplies, UPSs. That's what saved me from the strike being catastrophic from a tech standpoint. First, I want to be clear that I did have the big screen TV and the TiVo in the living room plugged into a surge protector, but not a heavy-duty one. The surge apparently blew right through it and took them both out, as well as the surge protector itself. The other, smaller TVs were only plugged into the wall. So why am I telling you this? Well, surge protectors have to be one of the unsexiest pieces of gear you can imagine. They just sit there. You don't interact with them other than to plug them in and then plug your gear into them. Every couple years, if you have a UPS option, you have to go and buy new batteries for it. That's it. And I think that's why so many people don't bother with them. That and the idea that it just can't happen to you. Well, it can, and it did happen to me. Now, I'm protected by the law of averages, since lightning seldom strikes twice in the same place. But I'm taking some extra precautions, and you might want to consider them. First, I had a whole house surge protector by Square D installed by an electrician as a first line of defense. That should give some protection to everything plugged in everywhere in the house. Second, I've got surge protectors for any and all electronics that have any significant value. That means TVs, refrigerators, washers, dryers, and most importantly, all the computer gear, which I already had. The models that saved my gear were from Tripp, Lite, Belkin, and APC. I'll be sure to put links in the show notes to the particular models. When you're evaluating these, be sure to understand the differences between surge protection versus battery backup and UPS, so that you know what you're buying and what you really need. I've also put an APC Ethernet surge protector on the cable coming out of my cable modem and feeding my router, and a Coax surge protector on the cable line coming into the cable modem. Overkill? Perhaps, but it can't hurt, and it's not that expensive. The really bad news is that if your home or office takes a direct hit, there's a fair chance that none of this will help. The power may just simply be too much. That's why, and I know you're tired of hearing it, you need to back up all your critical data. And that means something that is offline, not plugged in, and preferably off-site. Yes, it is a hassle, so you need to decide just how important what data is to you, but at the very least consider a clone of your Mac and a backup of your family photos and videos. While I lost a fair amount of gear, with the exception of the Apple TVs, most of it had some age on it. That doesn't mean I was happy to lose it, but it wasn't the disaster it could have been if it had been my Macs or my Drobos. So please, learn from my experience and protect yourself. It doesn't cost that much money, and it could save you big. I know, it probably won't happen to you, right? But what if it did? I'm Chuck Joyner, and that's it for this MacVoices briefing. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.